They're 3 columns wide, 3 stories tall. They're prefabricated at the shop and then hauled out to the building and put in place, prefabricated. So when the building came apart, it fell apart into those prefabricated chunks. So here's a wheat checks falling to the ground. Turns out it never reached the ground. Turned to dust first. Here's a slow motion image of these pieces coming down. And a little bit into it, you'll see a piece falling down this corner in front of it. That's the corner of Vesey Street and West Street. This is the one coming here. Yeah, you see this like a stick. Keep watching it. It turns to dust. All of this is trailing dust. That's not from a dirty windowsill. All this is trailing dust. That's not from a dirty windowsill. It turns to dust. Look at the body language. Hands at the side, hands on the hips, arms folded, arms at the sides. They're shocked. There should be a big building right there. Paper and dust.
Well, 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 we are back again, and voila, I should be in the flesh. So I'm not an AI bot, which someone said back in, what was it, 2022? Oh, he's an AI bot. He's a Scottish AI bot. He doesn't show his face. He's not a real person, so, I mean, well, that's debatable, to be honest. But I am here. I am in the flesh. I do sometimes wish I maybe was an AI bot. Nothing to worry about. No concerns whatsoever. But in reality, yeah, the world is full of concern. Let's face it. But anyway, tonight, like I said last night, we've got a fantastic guest. And it's been a while since I was on Matt's channel, but it was great. I really enjoyed it. We done a kind of deep dive into the predictive programming in regards to 9/11. So tonight it's kind of all things 9/11, but with a special guest who has done fantastic research into the topic. I really can't stress that enough. He's done great stuff on it. He's got a great channel. He's covered a lot of stuff. He's great at mathematics as well, which I can't say that for myself, but hey, we're not all perfect, that's for sure. So I will bring my guest on now, if I can work the screen.
All right.
Good evening, Matt.
Oh, hi, Will. Yeah, nice to be here. All right, this is the first live stream that I'm on someone else's channel. All right, it's the first
Oh,
one.
is it?
Yeah, I haven't done any other interview like on another channel before. So that's
Cool.
yeah.
I feel blessed. I feel blessed then.
Let's go. Let's go.
I
All
feel
right.
lucky now. That's great. It's great to have you on. I really enjoyed our chat before. And I think we're on a stream together as well at the end of the month, right?
Yeah, we have one in next week. Yeah, next week you're gonna be there as well. We'll have 9/11 revisionist Mark Conlon, Andrew Johnson may show up, and we have this Pentagon witness that used to work there. Forgot his name, but yeah, he'll be in there as well,
Oh,
and a
wow.
few others, I think. And I think Boston
Cool.
9/11 Truth, the Chris Bergier might show up as well. So that'll be
No, that would be interesting.
yeah, it's gonna be a hangout. We'll see how it goes. All right,
That'll be
yeah,
epic, that.
yeah, that'll
Yeah,
be
I didn't. I know of Andrew. He's done some really good stuff. He's kind of been in the game for years now. And the guy Mark, he's done great stuff with the planes, right?
Yeah, yeah, and the passengers. Another thing is, I think on the 21st of September or the 28th, Mark Conlon will join the show for doing a passengers deep dive. Because I get a lot of people asking about the passengers. If there were no quote Boeings, I got to just be careful how to phrase it with YouTube's algorithm. But then they also say, what about the passengers? Well, he's done a lot of work on the passengers as well, so we'll deep dive on that, or the
Cool.
alleged passengers. That'll be quite interesting.
Yeah, it's a massive sort of rabbit hole, the passenger one. It's one that no one's really nailed it down to an extent. You know how we've got Dr. Judy Wood, who's pretty much nailed the towers coming down to a great extent. I mean, the book is phenomenal, man. I was so glad to get the hard copy because the pictures in it are just fantastic. The evidence that she's put together is quite amazing, quite staggering, and I can see why the sort of mainstream narrative tries to push it back and tries to hide it and dismiss it. Oh, it's nonsense. But anybody who looks at the book's gonna be like, holy moly, she nailed it pretty much straight away. So yeah, fantastic. I look forward to that. I know the guy Mark's done a lot of stuff on the planes. Anytime I've looked into it, I kind of go round in circles, to be honest. I do a lot of looking over the recorded conversations, and the one that seemed to catch my eye was the Barbara Olsen. So I looked into that, and I mentioned to the chat before to you and to everyone else, the FBI came out and said that call pretty much never happened. So originally they were saying, yeah, Olsen phoned her husband. Then they came out in a document and said, well, we don't think she did, basically. They put 0 seconds as a call she tried to make, seemingly. And for a long time there, I don't know if you've seen this, but they were talking about cell phone calls that had been made, and there was like 20 or so. Then when the evidence came out, they said there was only 2 that they could say were definitely made. Because there's a lot to do with, you couldn't make a cell phone call from over 8,000 feet in 2001. It wasn't until 2004 that you were able to make a call above so many feet. So they reckon most of the calls, if they got made, would have been made from the airline phone rather than a cell phone. So a lot of the cell phone calls were just made up, basically. So what do you think? What do you think happened there? Do you think there was? Do you think passengers actually went onto a plane, or did they just they never existed, basically?
This one is the rabbit hole. I've avoided diving into it just because it's one of those where YouTube will automatically get you out if you say XYZ didn't die. But my current view is that it's hard to like be definitive if all the passengers were either real or just made up or whatnot. Because even in that scenario, you could have because like Mark Conlon has done some research where it appears there was 2 Flight 11s, I think, or Flight 93s, or so one of the guys' name it's like never shows up in the manifest, but then apparently shows up in like in a different manifest for the plane. So it could be that they went into one of the passenger planes and then went to a different location. Either some or all of them, all the passengers were quote in on it. But it doesn't have to be like they're actually in on it. Some of them could be actually real and then taken out. And then there's a million ways where you can eliminate passengers. And then the phone calls. Yeah, obviously the phone calls. I think they're not made in flight. That's with a cell phone. That's just even nowadays. It's hard to do it. Yeah. If you go get your phone out and try to call someone while you're mid-flight, it's usually have no reception anyways. Like even nowadays. Now imagine way back then. And there was studies then on that where someone's actually trying to test it out, even when like 2010 or whatnot. And it's very, very, very hard, especially any like decent reception.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, because the guy that done the tests, it was after he was like a proper expert, scientific expert. He worked for Scientific America, and he done tests on a single engine and double engine aircraft in regards to could you make a phone call with a cell phone, and it was next to impossible. So when he released that the work that he had done, that's when the FBI went back and said, oh, actually there's only 2 calls that we know got made. But up until that point they were saying there was like 20 different calls that had been made. So they just basically backtracked on everything they said once that guy, I'm not sure, I can't remember his name, but once he put out the work he had done, they backtracked. And I was kind of thinking, I wonder where that guy is today, if he's still about. maybe they've took care of him. But so in terms of yourself, I think you're a similar age to me, right?
Oh yeah, I'm 36.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool.
So unless you're that age, or how old are you then?
Yeah, 37. So
okay.
I'm a wee bit older.
Okay. Well, I'll be 37 in January, so it's like not that much older. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and yeah, going back to the passengers one. So like I haven't looked at it too much because when I do my research, I try to go one point at a time and then like validate that point. And so the one passenger, I'm like 1,000% sure. The story is just literally impossible. And I think I got it from your channel that Israeli secret service fighter or something that's also an internet genius and a billionaire overnight, and a mathematical genius. So that one you could rule out. Like I just can't deal with that one. I could even I want to show that Israeli one. So if your audience hasn't seen that one, passenger.
Yeah, that one's a classic.
Yeah, so like that's kind of what I do. So I'll do one by one. So if there's 20 alleged passengers, I gotta go look through every single one of their stories and then see which one passes the sniff test. What was his name? Israeli. What was I just want to find out. I forgot what his name was, but this was first victim. Oh yeah, the alleged first victim. Yeah.
Yeah, they claimed he was the first person to die in the whole 9/11 saga.
Yeah, and I'll share my screen quickly. I just want to bring that up for the audience who hasn't grasped this. I'll just present it for a quick second. Yeah. So I'll pop in and out, just presenting some stuff. So present, share screen, and then window. I'll share this window right here. And so can you see my screen here? Yeah. So this is the guy. And so I've done research on one person so far, and I don't really I've concluded this guy can't be a real person. So the genius who perished on Flight 11, Daniel Mark Lewin, was almost certainly the first victim of the 9/11 attacks, but before he was killed in a struggle on Flight 11 at the age of 31. So apparently he was fighting the alleged hijackers. He wrote a set of algorithms that changed the internet forever and made him a billionaire overnight. Lewin was also ironically an ex-commando trained in Israel's most elite army unit to hunt and kill terrorists. And 12 years after his death at the hands of terrorists, Lewin's extraordinary life has finally come to life. So he's an ex-commando trained in the most elite army to kill a terrorist, and then gets attacked by some guys with knife cutters. And then going further, there's a photo of him. First victim. There's a photo of him. I don't know if you've seen this one, but there's a photo of him where he's wearing a watch that's called hijacker. It's called a hijacker watch.
Wow.
So this is what alleged first victim was allegedly sitting on seat 9B in hexadecimal. That's actually 911. So that's what his seat was. He was on American Airlines Flight 11. And while a photo of him online shows him wearing a quote hijacker watch with the day 11 and small and big clocks to 11. I just want to point this one out. So this is the photo here. Someone made a video on this. And then he goes over it and he shows the watch. This is the Mark Lewin guy. So the guy, that photo of his watch. So he goes over it. And then he zooms into the actual watch, and it's on 11. And you go to the watch website. It's called a hijacker watch. A hijacker watch. All right. So yeah. So that is. I wanted to show that, and yeah, I'll stop sharing screen there. But yeah. So
that's quite comical.
Yeah, so that's one out of So that's kind of the way I do it. I go through each passenger at a time. So that was the first one. He was on 9B, and 9B again. If you know hexadecimal, that's literally it's a 911. It's because the way it works. If you know hexadecimal how it works, it goes to 16. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then it goes A, B, C, D. E, yeah. And so basically 9B is literally 911 because it goes
You could hardly make it up.
Yeah, and the guy's a hijacker. So if there was a hijacking, that guy's the one doing the hijack. So if there was one, if there was something like that where there actually were some passengers, because I saw some predictive programming which I was going to go over in my last live stream, but I ended up doing just a Boston 9/11 truth recap. So some of the ones were there was a movie or a TV show. They're talking about. One person's father died that was part of a exercise to hijack a plane and crash into a building. Yeah,
the lone gunman.
Oh yeah, that. But then the father actually died because they ended up actually going through with it. So he thought he was a part of an exercise, and then they actually end up doing it. So similar to Boston 7/7, where the alleged patsies were probably thinking that they were inside some sort of exercise. All of a sudden, they're running for their lives, where the cops coming after them. So that's kind of what I mean by like instead of like brushing it off if it's real or fake, it's like what is real, which part of it is real, is it 100%, is it 98%, or whatnot, and the logistics of it and what would make more sense. But again, going one point at a time. So if there was a hijacking, it's this guy.
Yeah.
It's a ex-commando, but and it would be part of the thing, part of the script. Right? You go on.
Yeah, I think you covered last week the flight exercise simulations that were going on.
That's one I was going to go over, but I ended up just doing all the Boston 9/11 truth recap. So I ended up changing the title and changing the thumbnail. Because Mark Collins sent me a whole bunch. Like 9/11 had like a ton of stuff going on. There was some rumors that there were 20 alleged hijacking planes throughout 9/11. Like in that day, 20. Like planes going around. Yeah, but 20 actual planes that were being fake hijacked, like exercises. Yeah, and some of them, I'm pretty sure that's why a lot of the radar data is it's like all messed up. And if you've seen my last live stream, one of the according to Wikipedia, the radar guys saw the flight 175 allegedly hit the tower or go into it. But if you actually look at it, what they're saying, it's a second plane. They're literally looking at one that's like at least 3,000 feet altitude higher than it was. And the guy's looking out his window and he says, oh, he's doing a deep dive. And then he says, oh, another one crashed. I don't know if you've heard that one. Have you seen that one or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one is that one. So the guy's seeing through his window another, again, simulation diving at the same time that the actual projection hits the tower. So it's quite remarkable. Like what in the world's going on.
On the day it happened, seemingly, like you said, there was 21 or 22 simulations that were taking place on the day before, and I think also the day after. And in total, there were nearly 50 different simulations, all connected to 9/11, and basically mirroring the narrative of it. So, like anything that happened on 9/11, they were simulating it as well. And of course, you had the FEMA situation. They were on the ground on the day, basically waiting for it to happen. And they said they were there the day before getting set up. So I thought that was interesting. But there's one or two simulations caught my eye. And basically, they sent all the American aircraft, the Air Force, to like 4 different corners of the planet. So you couldn't have sent them any further away if you tried. And one of them was Canada was joint, so it was an exercise joint with Canada and Russia as well.
Yeah, Russia was in there as well.
And they were calling it a part simulation, part real world exercise, and they were sending these F-16s to chase a Russian bomber 1 billion miles away. And it's like, so, because I think there was a guy who wrote a book on it, and he was saying he reckoned he had to do that. Well, the American government had to do that because if these military personnel were close by, even though they might not have got the order to attack or go into the air, they might have thought, fuck this, I'm doing it anyway. So they might have disobeyed command and broke free. So they were all sent to it's the weirdest kind of places as well. I mean, it's so... I mean, we're at a point now where I think most people realise something's not right here. Without even going into it too deep, I think the majority of people think, nah, something's not right. It wasn't Bin Laden.
Yeah, it's definitely not Bin Laden. Or the Sheikh Khalid Mohammed, the mastermind. It looks like they found him inside some sort of homeless shelter or something.
Yeah, KSM. That poor dude, seemingly he's been like waterboarded nearly 200 times.
Yeah.
And they, I mean, it's after that, and after 20 years of torture, you'd probably say anything to try and get some kind of a deal, but completely insane, man, honestly. It's the things they done to him. I was reading about it, and to be honest, I don't even want to mention it here. It is proper graphic stuff what they done to that guy. I don't think he could be in a good mental state to even go to trial, to be honest. So I don't know if they'll ever put him to trial. I mean, after 20 years of torture, your head would be gone, man. So I shouldn't laugh, but it's quite incredible that we're still to this day, and they've still not trialed these individuals. Yet they were certain, what, the next day? Oh yeah, they done it. It's like, wow. Yeah. And Bin Laden was the most wanted. And he was wanted even before that, seemingly, I think.
Yeah, he was.
For him, and they couldn't find him anywhere, yet CNN found him.
Yeah, yeah. Then he was on the. They found him in the cave, and then he said that he was gonna attack Israel and America.
That's right. Yeah, and then it happened, did it? It played in. It all played out. So you'd have been similar to myself. You'd have been at school when it happened, were you? Or would you have been? Were you in?
So I think it was in elementary school. I think it was grade 6 or 7. I gotta figure that out. But it was on I was in school. There was the teacher was showing it on the camera, on like in the school classroom. That put the TV on. Yeah, and I didn't really think much of it. So I'm like, it's just something going on. But I don't know. I didn't think too much of it as a small kid. But then as I got older, and I believed in the mainstream narrative, and then it's like I got into one argument with a friend who was Muslim, and then I brought up 9/11. Then it's kind of we weren't stopped being friends after that because it's like 9/11. It's like, oh, when you drink the Kool-Aid, it's like, oh, it's these Islamic terrorists doing all this. And then years later, I kind of so I didn't look at it too much, but I was doing civil engineering at UBC afterwards, in University of British Columbia, and then. So when I was doing that, yeah, so you have it's like a mindset when you go to university where you kind of think you're smarter than other people. So it's like university people have like this arrogance to them, and then so my cousin, he was like a rapper, and he would also like smoke a lot of weed. So he was a big stoner, but he dropped out of high school. But he'd been telling me 9/11 inside job for like a good, let's see how many years. A good 10 years, yeah. Good like 7, 8, 10 years. I never even bothered to look at it. I just told him one time I yelled at him I'm like, here's what happened. Plane hit the towers, the towers fell down. I never even looked at any of the evidence, even though I was an engineer. Because you have that arrogance when you're a lot of university people or college people, it's like they drive home the point like you guys are learning the cutting edge of knowledge and science and so on, so that you have that mentality. And that's why you see a lot of PhD people. It's like they live in ivory tower in their head without realizing it's like it's made of dust. And then in 2016 is when I started getting I just started paying attention to politics a bit more, just because Trump started running. And then it's like, okay, let's see what Trump's trying to say. I'm trying to like research his stance on immigration or all these mainstream talking points. And I'm like, all right, it's like similar to like any other president. But then all my friends suddenly became like super anti-Trump in like overnight. I'm like, what the? I have no idea what just happened. I'm like, how were you able to gain all this knowledge? But then whereas me, I got to actually look at it deeper beyond this, like whatever the news says. And then afterwards, yeah, then I realized, yeah, it's like overnight, my Facebook feed went from just like, random people doing random stuff to everyone saying Trump is like literally Orange Man Hitler. And I'm like, what the? So that was weird. And then WikiLeaks dropped Pizzagate stuff. I don't know if you've looked at that, but I looked at it. I was like real time researching it. It was one of the most mind-boggling stuff. Like I realized pretty much every politician is a pedo or connected to some sort of criminal pedophilia or something like that. It's anyone you look at, yeah, you're gonna look at that and see it. It's like, yeah. So basically, it got to the Epstein stuff, and this was all 2016, 2017. So I was researching all that before it became mainstream, and then I came across the Madeleine McCann case. So you've heard of the Madeleine McCann case? Yeah. So there is a weird connection to Washington D.C. with her case. So I made a whole series on it. I'll just share a screen quickly, just to show the audience what I am talking about, and then we'll get to how I came across Dr. Judy Wood's work. Okay, share screen because so share windows. So all my Pizzagate videos have been removed by YouTube. So the only way to watch them, okay, so you could see. I think you could. Is my screen being shared? Okay, there it is. Yeah, so my screen is being shared. So PG. So all of them have been deleted by YouTube. Because they updated their guidelines, I think in 2020 during COVID, saying that you can't deny it. So all my YouTube purge, event denying, everything got removed. But so these photos, what got me literally hooked on the Pizzagate stuff, because I wanted to solve this riddle. So do you know these photos? Do you know who these two people are?
Yeah, that's the pictures they released for people that were seen at the time.
Well, this is that's what the story says, but what it actually was is these were the alleged. These are two alleged. No, there weren't people seen there. These are two alleged people perpetrating. No, that were. So I forgot the exact reason in there, but these were two e-fits or electronic fits done for some people somehow related to that Madeleine McCann case. Except these were made by someone that was connected to Washington D.C. But if you look who they look like, do you know who John and Tony Podesta are?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those are the yes. Podesta's Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman. This guy's another big D.C. lawyer or like a big D.C. guy. But anyways, so these look very, very identical to them. They even include this mole on this here, but the real one has a mole on the other side. So it's like, so the disinfo side says that these guys were involved in it. But what I concluded after my like 30 videos is that I think those EFITs were done as blackmail to them in a way, saying like, hey, we know who you are, just keep it quiet. But anyways, and I summed it all up with this whole part 30 video there. But anyway, so I got really interested in this in that Madeleine McCann case, and then I came across Richard Hall's Madeleine McCann videos, Rich Planet. So and then because when you go through the Pizzagate one, you'll realize there's disinfo everywhere. So sifting through it is really ridiculous. And then I came across the Madeleine McCann case. So I did a whole bunch of research on Madeleine McCann. And the book, so if you read the book, it's absolutely ridiculous. She's talking about her own daughter's like beautiful genitals in the thing. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then visiting this accused, like there's also this pedo Clement Freud and so on. So it's like a weird giant pedo connected ring. But then anyway, so then I went across Richard Hall videos because he had a Madeleine McCann video. So I don't see documentary films, Madeleine. Yeah, so I watched all of his Madeleine McCann ones right here. So all of his Madeleine McCann ones, and I'm like, these are like the best alt media I've ever seen in terms of research. And then I started watching all of his videos. So I went from starting from the beginning. I started watching 1, 2, 3, 4 until he came across Judy Wood. This was on 221, and I'm like, but before he even said that, he mentioned before he even got her on. He mentioned 9/11, and then he showed a photo of, actually, it was way before here. So he showed a photo of the book, Where Do the Towers Go? And the front and back cover. And I'm like, this can't be real. Because those photos literally prove 9/11 is complete hoax. So then I made, most feared woman. Let's see. If you go write 9/11, most feared person in the world, peak. So what I ended up doing was, let's see, peakd.com, they removed it. Where's my MES? Okay, where's my, I don't know why it's not showing up. It usually shows up on Google. Now it's gone on Google. Okay, interesting. So that's an interesting conundrum. So I'll just have to search up here. Anyways, I'm just doing some live stuff right here. So if we go to Hive Notes, on this is view notes on, I gotta update this thingy. It's on Steemit. Anyways, a lot of technical difficulties, but we will get to it. And then I ended up, writing here. There's my article. Okay, so this is May 18, 2017. I wrote the most feared person in the world, Dr. Judy Wood. So then, and I basically wrote, this is right, because I saw the front and back cover. And I'm like, this is impossible for any sort of collapse or explosive demolition or whatnot. And because I've always avoided my brother was my cousin was always telling me it was the inside job, Building 7 or whatever, and I never even bothered looking at it, just because the logistics of actual explosive demolition is literally like, it's just impossible. To go and install explosives everywhere and with no actual visual evidence. Like I didn't see anything resembling it, but I never even looked at it. But there was nothing like even worth looking at, and then until I saw this front and back cover. And then I ended up going for like a whole week trying to. I basically put up everything I was doing just to try to debunk her. Basically, see if all these photos are real or not. I'm like, this is a real photo. This is like, I don't know what this is. It's like a giant dust like explosion, just dust implosion or whatnot. And then there's no towers. There's literally nothing there. There's absolutely nothing there. And then I wrote on Twitter. Oh, I think it was actually on here. Then I think I tweeted it as well. So this is that was my first article I wrote. Right away, I knew about it, and I'm like, okay, that's it. And then I remember messaging my cousin saying, I'm like, Steve, you were right. Illuminati runs the world, or like 9/11 is done by Illuminati, or something like that. And yeah, so let's see what else I wrote here. I had a tweet actually, and then I tweeted. So this was the first 9/11 stuff I posted about. So that article, most feared person, and this irrefutable. If you go way back, I think it's Actually, I shared these irrefutable photos. Yeah, so I shared these irrefutable documentaries May 4th, 2017. Then June, this is my first actual post. So I said, what happened on 9/11 is irrefutable. The towers turned to dust. So that's it. It's like there's before, after. It's like there's nothing more you could go look at. There's building 7 right there. Yeah, there's before and after, and there's a giant hole there, and this is perfectly fine. Like, what is? So I'm like, all right, I'm done. That's pretty much how I came across. Yeah, 9/11, and then. And 9/11 was interesting, as me and Judy would both have bachelors in civil engineering, so that was interesting. But she does her master's in, I think, structural engineering or something like that. But I ended up doing mine in mining engineering, and then I just now I just do math stuff and 9/11. But yeah, I'll just stop sharing this screen, and let's see, stop sharing. So yeah, that was my story there. But the question is, how did you come across 9/11? And Judy Wood as well, because and my work, and how you came across all this?
Yeah, I think going way back, maybe to 2010, 2011, I started getting a bit suspicious about it. Up until that point, I hadn't really, similar to yourself, I'd not looked at anything, so I couldn't really put a solid opinion on it until I looked right into it. But as soon as I began to look into it, I thought, wait a minute, something's not right here. And I mean, for a long time, I would probably have said it was a controlled demolition, but up until reading what Judy, well, mostly her not the book to begin with, but one of the talks that she done a speech maybe, and when I seen that, I thought, bloody hell, I think she might be onto it here. And when I looked at her background in terms of engineering and her PhDs, I thought, well, she clearly knows what she's talking about. She's not just a stoner like your cousin might have been. Even though he was right, I found that quite funny. This guy smoking weed all day, and he's basically, look, you need to look into 9/11. Yeah. But I think a lot of people did know. But the more I looked into it, I thought, yeah, there's something definitely not right, and I don't think anybody who does look into it cannot come to the conclusion that something happened that day that most people probably couldn't describe. And I've had people say to me, well, if you're talking about technology that turned them to dust, that technology is impossible or it doesn't exist. A lot of people have said that to me. What would you say to someone who said that?
Well, you saw it happen in real life. It's like saying lightning doesn't exist because nobody can replicate like a giant, powerful lightning strike. Or whatnot, but it actually happened. Like, you can literally go and see it, and it proves it's real. So you can't go and be like, okay, this is impossible, I will ignore all evidence to this claim I'm making, and then live your life saying it's impossible. So the question is, it's publicly not possible. Like, in public, the narrative we're given, it's not possible, but you literally see it happening. So the question is, are the videos fake? Or did they somehow fall down and everybody shipped all the debris to China? Like, so in a mathematical sense or logical sense, this happened. The only way this happened is if there is technology that exists that was able to turn out of dust. So it's like or magic, whatever. Yeah. So that's kind of. And then when you look at the Hutchison effect and other effects like that, so the Hutchison effect is able to like literally show similar but a small scale of every single one of those, every single scenario of them, and he swore an affidavit in court. So it's like in terms of like hard evidence, like okay, well, here's a device that can do that. That's the end goal we want to eventually achieve, but. Someone saying, "Oh, it's impossible," so I'm gonna just close my ears and whatnot and ignore reality. So it's like, okay, but that's a decision people can make. Be like, okay, if someone believes 9/11, so the technology is impossible, then basically they're gonna live their life with that assumption, and And then the question is, if we're living our life knowing that this technology exists, whoever's right is more likely going to be more accurate in the future. So it's like you're not going to be surprised when something else similar happens or whatnot. But yeah, again, it's like telling people use logic. Like I saw the front and back cover of the book and I was convinced. I'm like, there's no more. Yeah. So it's like someone's gonna if they don't want to believe it, I don't know what to say with it. But that's why I keep looking at different angles and keep posting and keep arguing with people and talking about it. Because a few of them are gradually people are eventually something hits where they can't go back. So like I avoided 9/11 until I came across Judy Wood's the book, just the front and back cover, just 2 screenshots. So like 10 years, if it was 10 years ago when I was in like studying civil engineering, if someone just showed me those front and back cover with no explanation, I would have probably quit my engineering and just done full 9/11. So the thing is, some people won't believe it, but who cares? It's like what I'm trying to say. It's like you can try to convince them, but then the question is, well, what more do they need? Do they want the end product? Do you want them to like, okay, here's an Amazon product that can go and turn stuff to dust? So if that's what they want, then they're no different. They're basically they're like a end user. They're not really a prime mover. So it's like, all right. So wait till we get it on Amazon.
Yeah, I had said to somebody before, it's like they use technology that's hidden or it's secret. Then they was asking me to kind of prove this technology, and it's like, what, you want me to prove technology exists that's secret? How can I send a link to somebody that about technology that doesn't exist? But when Judy Wood, and I remember when I watched her talk, and I watched the collapse of one of the towers back over again, I kind of thought to myself, do you know what? I've not even been looking at this properly. The amount of times I had seen it before, I was looking at it, but was I really looking at it though? So when Judy Wood began to, I mean, as smart as she is, and she is incredibly smart, she puts it in very simple terms for people like me to understand. So after that, my eyes were, I mean, it was like the putting on the glasses from They Live. I seen it in a completely different way, and I watched it over and over, and I thought, do you know what? She's right. It's not your. I mean, when you compare it to a normal controlled demolition, it's not the same. It is in no way the same as a controlled demolition with wired explosions and stuff like that. It's completely different, and the way the speed it comes down, pretty much going by what Judy said, it defies physics that we know of. So they've clearly used technology that's not known by the average kind of person, if you like. But I think the work she's done is phenomenal, to be honest. And I think we're at a point now where, like I said earlier on, most people look at it now and they're like, right, something's not right. But those who look a wee bit more into it, they're going to now find Dr. Judy Wood, people like yourself, Norman, Mark, maybe even Andrew Johnson, and fall down the Richard D. Hall video rabbit hole like yourself, then they might be able to bring something else to the table as well. And I think in good time, more people are going to be asking a lot more questions about it, rather than just simply, was it an inside job? Was there foreknowledge? I mean, all that's pretty evident, to be honest. I think on September the 10th, Donald Rumsfeld came out and said, oh, we can't find 2.8 trillion. And then the very next day, it went missing. On September 10th, he's like, oh, we can't find trillions of dollars from the Pentagon. Then the next day, it's wiped off the news completely. And people are like, yeah, we love the military now. We want to support the military now. And basically, as soon as it happened as well, people were on the street saying, right, we need to fight back. People need to pay. Who we going to bomb? And so they had worked wonders for the military-industrial complex, and of course they went on to invade Iraq, Afghanistan, and well, I think they're still in Iraq. I think they came out of Afghanistan.
Yeah, I think they pulled out of Afghanistan, and then they're probably in Libya, Somalia. Iran is the last one. Actually, my view is Iran is the second last one. Eventually, I think well, Iran and semi-Israel. Israel is like, I think it's a special case where alt media is like thinks they're running the show, but eventually it's going to be a world war event where Israel, Iran are fighting each other, where U.S. has to join in as well. But it's like the big thing is people are being used as pawns. Is what I'm trying to get at. But yes, and speaking of Iraq, yeah, so I'm from Iraq actually, so that was makes it even more. So it's like, and before, yeah, so I drank the Kool-Aid before, so I actually was like, oh yeah, Saddam Hussein bad, we have to go invade, etc. And then I realized, okay, well, yeah, so like once you, especially when you do have like some sort of some sort of internal pride where it's like, okay, they fooled me that badly. It's like, all right. And then you have to like, okay, this is going to be, take it personal, but also not just personally for, okay, they fooled me for scientifically, because I'm supposed to be an engineer and I can't even see through this nonsense. But the thing is, I never even actually looked at any of the stuff, any of the plane impacts or the building one. I literally went strictly by narrative, whatever the mainstream narrative was. It's like Muslims did this, hence invade Middle East. And even though when I was in engineering and whatnot, but and then once I can't really stress that enough. Once I saw the front and back cover of the book, I'm like, this is remarkable. And again, some people have different ways, different types of persuasion, but like especially in civil engineering, when you look at the actual structures, like the bridge physics and stuff like that, building physics, and they're not just gonna turn to dust. Okay, they're not gonna go in a giant like dust pouring out of everywhere. And every single one has a whole bunch of stuff on the ground. And so what I mean is there's no debate. Like if there was an explosive demolition, there's no debate. If there was a gravity collapse, there's no debate. That's why I never looked at it, because I'm like, why are people debating demolition? Whatnot? It would be so obvious that no engineer can hide it. And then that comes across 9/11 where it's like it was neither. So it's like, what the. And the thing is, yeah, the ones that do look through it will be like, okay, now they got to put their whole reputation on the line, saying, no, it was actually done by space beam magic or something. That's pretty much how the narrative would be. But then, the thing is, that's more believable than whatever anything else you're saying. Yeah. So that's. But yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So what year did you say you started looking into Judy Wood? About 2010.
2017. No, mine's way later. 2017. Yeah. 2016 is when I started actually looking at anything besides the mainstream. And then, 2016 is when I looked at Trump stuff. And that's kind of where I realized, yeah, so Trump is, it was 2016. I woke up basically because I realized people would follow whatever the news is about whichever figure. Because before then, it was interesting. Okay, so everybody hated Trump in my group of friends in Vancouver, in Canada. But before then, I never wasn't into politics. So I think when Obama was running, everybody loved him for some reason. So I had it at the back of my head, Mike, because I'm like, how do they just love some random person on the news just because he's black and he speaks well on the mic? And then 2016, everybody hates Trump. So then I'm like, okay, what in the world's going on here? And then I didn't realize until Pizzagate and afterwards, I'm like, they're literally like, the people just follow whatever the news is. And then 9/11 was in 2017 when I came across Richard Hall, literally just brought it up casually in one of his interviews with Andrew Johnson. Because I was thinking we were looking at UFOs and whatnot. So he's like, they're talking about UFOs and they're like, we know black budget technology exists. And he shows a front and back cover of Judy Wood's book. I'm like, what? You can't just throw that bomb in there. I'm like looking at UFOs and all of a sudden I'm a full on 9/11 like truther in like literally a split second. I spent a whole week just trying to debunk her, but every single thing checks out. The main thing I wanted to show, are those photos real, and are they a day of 9/11? I'm like, okay, they're real. They're literally on 9/11 the day. I'm like, all right, I have to quit everything, and my end goal is to produce this so-called free energy. And
yeah, there was a strange thing where Judy Wood used them photos, and she was going to use them in court, and then after it, the news came out and said it was unseen photos that that she had already seen and they had already used, but so they weren't new photos, they weren't unseen, but it was interesting how they put them out there. I thought that was quite. I think Judy talked about that in an interview she done last year. She doesn't do much in the way of interviews, I don't think, but to be honest, I can kind of understand. She's put everything that needs to be said in the book, so it's all there to some extent. So why would you? I think she got asked as well, "Oh, would you do another book?" And she was like, "Well, it's all there in the first book, so what would be the point? There's not much else to add to it. In fairness, I think one of the things I always found strange, even before I came across Dr. Judy Wood, the fact they took the steel that was the small amount of steel that was remaining and shipped it away to China straight away, like so nobody could investigate. It's like completely gone. Whereas in an ideal world, you would have thought, right, we'll hang on to it in case it brings up evidence or stuff like that. But to just get rid of it straight away, I thought, and basically to start cleaning up straight away. Then Bush is there with the firemen saying, well, people are gonna know about us. They're gonna hear from everyone and basically laughing about it. I thought, this is, I mean, already it was so rapid in the way they done it. It was like, right, moving on to the next phase of the gigantic psyop, basically. But when you're talking about, oh, people liked Barack Obama, and then all of a sudden they were supporting Trump and stuff like that.
Oh no, hating Trump.
Oh, hating Trump.
Because we're in Vancouver, Canada. It's like it's all liberal. Everyone's liberal. Everyone's like Democrat here. So it was the flip. I was never used to that flip.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting that, because we see that here in the UK. I've seen that here for many years now, and I can only put it down to, I mean, it's like a psychological brainwashing machine, but they use the behavioural science to manipulate people, basically manipulate their mind, and a lot of that's done through the not just the media, but the news itself. So in the UK, we were a wee bit behind America with the whole 24-hour news cycle. But today, it's like America here with the news 24 hours a day. People watching it the whole day, man.
Yeah.
Then waking up in the morning, fucking put it on, watching it, eating their dinner, sitting watching the news. And it was quite funny, because last night I went out, I'd finished my stream and I watched a movie with my son, Inside Out 2, which was a bit weird. But then I went out and walked the dog, and I walked by a house, and a guy was sitting in his bed. I looked, just by chance, I looked up into this window, and the guy's sitting on his bed watching the news at like 11:30 at night, and I'm thinking, fuck, honest to God, man. Do people not give it a rest? It's like they're hypnotized or under some kind of hypnotic spell where they need to be watching the news. They need to know basically how to think and what to follow. And I just...
Oh, did you cut off? Is the stream cut off? All right. I can't hear you. Is the stream cut off? That's live, or am I cut off? Okay, what's frozen? Who's frozen? Okay. All right, we are. What's the crack, William? William is both. Okay, there you are.
It was just me.
Okay, they got you. They got you.
YouTube
Richard
booted
Gage.
me.
Yeah, Richard Gage got you on there.
Someone's going to be drawing a big fucking willy on the screen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. It's definitely Richard Gage in that scenario.
Me and Mez were part of a stream where it got hacked and someone was drawing men's parts on the screen, which was quite funny. But yeah, all I was going to say was my dad. When he passed away, he was he was 70, just turned. So he was born in 1942, and when he was growing up, in his whole life, basically he would watch the news in the morning, and then so basically 8 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock at night, then again at 10 o'clock at night, and it was the same stuff, but he'd still watch it. And I remember I used to think, why are you even watching it? What's the point? It's not even really news. Talking about stuff in a completely different side of the planet that's got nothing to do with us here in a tiny wee town. And he was that bad, he would even record it. So he was recording the news, and then he would watch it again, either the next day or later. And I thought that was astonishing. But now we are in a completely new territory now, and people are to a point obsessed. And we've got BBC News 24, which is 24 hours a day, constant, on a loop, repeating the same thing. And I think that's all down to the, of course, when we touched on predictive programming, repetition, it is like a key factor to it. So if they just keep saying it and saying it and saying it and saying it, people are the doting human is gonna believe it. They're gonna get it imprinted into their tiny wee brain. So. But I think America were ahead of the game with that. Is America and Canada pretty much the same, do you think, or?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same stuff. It's just that Canada's more on it's like a more liberal. It's like Canada. I mean, it's like America, but shifted even more to liberal Democrat stuff like that. So anyone you go by, yeah, they're. It's like most people here, they're gonna be anti-Trump, so it's like on the Democrat side, but like hating him. Like some of them like can't stand him. Like where I know my brother's boss. He watches CNN in the hot tub like every day, outside. So he watches an outside hot tub every day, CNN on his iPad. And one time he's like, yeah. One time he says, you know what they should do with Trump? They should have him. They should have him crucified in the middle of the street. I'm like, oh, that's the point. all right. So
He wasn't about that day that Trump was seemingly shot at, was he? Has he got a good alibi for that day?
Oh yeah, that was gonna bring that up. Yeah, so it's like I
wanted to mention.
Yeah, the 24-hour news, and now it's like the Trump alleged shooting was literally like 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, like literally last month. But it seems like 10 years has passed by. And
so much has happened since.
Yeah,
it's quite incredible. But you actually, some people, well, most of the kind of regular people here might not know, but you actually predicted this assassination attempt.
2 years, for 2 years. Yeah, I could share my screen just to show that, just to gloat a bit. That was my big presentation one. So like, because my view is 9/11 is a big one. So if I ever, if I skew away from 9/11, it has to be a really good reason. Like the Trump stuff was like, I'm literally predicting he's going to get, fake shot, fake killed or whatever. And then, so I share my window again. And yeah, I'll hide this so you can see my window here. Yes, you can see this one. So go to here. You go to Trump. So you can literally go Trump fake, and I've 46 messages. You can go from at least March 2022, and then this one here, how Trump becomes the fake Messiah Antichrist. I shared this video from this guy from this Angel White from 2016. This is a 2016 video. He's talking about Trump getting fake shot and winning election and becoming Antichrist or whatnot, whatever the narrative is. But I want to go Trump fake, just to go, where's the assassination? I think I had, or at least assassination. So I talked about the assassination literally a couple years ago. What's the next one? This is JFK assassination. Okay, this one here, at least here, this was a predictive programming for Trump. It's in 2022. Bart's twins. Okay, 1958 film. This was also 2022. This is a con man named Trump who convinces people only he can save the world by building a wall. He then gets assassinated from Donnie Darko. I think Donnie Darko is an interesting character. I think even the Trump predictive programming is being pushed by some sort of agents or whatnot. But anyways, and then Trump fake. And then I made a live stream literally like 2 or 3 weeks before the alleged shooting. Let's go here. Okay, I'm going to go back all the way here. This one here. So this is, I made this, yeah, this is on June 15th. Yeah, so this actually made it on, I made the post though on June 14th. So June 14th is Trump's birthday. I wrote MES livestream 41 Trump fake assassination predictive programming. And then join me as a deep dive into the many instances seemingly foreshadowing Donald Trump's upcoming fake assassination and recovery. Unlike other claims of predictive programming, this one is for an event that has not yet happened. This is literally a month before. And my reasoning for why I made this video at this date was because I felt that it has to be after Trump's birthday, so June 14th. And I made this 15th was a Saturday. I didn't want to do it on a Friday. But anyway, so this 15th, I posted this on the 14th. And that it has to be during the election year. So that's why I waited all the way until literally this year after his birthday. And on his birthday is when I'm doing the presentation. So it wasn't just like a typical predictive programming where someone says, oh, there's Trump's going to get assassinated. And you never know. It's like 2 years later, it happens, 7 years later. But it's like, I'm literally, I made the video. I knew about this. I posted it, but I made the specific video at the time I roughly thought it would happen. So I waited, and then I had to make it on that day. So for those, and this is the music video, Snoop Dogg shooting a fake bang at Trump. So it's pretty obvious. So, and again, going back to the thing, it's like if someone doesn't believe in conspiracy or whatnot, well, whatever their worldview is, can you at least predict the future? If you have better info, you should predict it. And also one more thing I want to bring up, because you talked about black budget and then how to convince people black budget tech exists. Well, tell them US has classified technology. And it's like, do they have classified technology? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, then ask them, okay, what technology do they have? If they don't know, then be like, all right, so now we're on the same ballpark. So me and you both don't know what they have. And then the question is, how much money do they spend on these black budget? Do you know, yes or no? If no, then, so if someone's actually being truthful and they actually want to understand our arguments or whatnot, there's no way around it. It's either they're lying to themselves or they just do not want to even bother. And if they don't want to bother, then they're typically like an end user where they'll wait for Amazon to be created as opposed to creating. They'll wait for the product to be on Amazon and then order it there. So that's. Yeah. But again, a lot of people they work 9 to 5. So it's not just the news that is it's always propaganda, but the entire lifestyle is propaganda. So you have to work 9 to 5. So all your actual attention is being put into whatever your daily work is. And then even that, then you got to pay taxes and everything and all that, and with inflation. So everyone's stressed to just get by. And then they use the news as a way trying to get some some passive information. And one thing I do take from the news is why people believe it over the alt media is they're done much more professionally. So if you're just a random person, a normie, just doing your 9 to 5, and then now you want to figure out what's happening in the world because you want something bigger than your own daily life. Well, where are you going to get it from? Some stoner on some stoner on YouTube telling you lizards are running the world. And that's the other thing. You have to also sift through, okay, this guy's telling me lizards are running all over the world, except he's making some good points about the CIA. But he's telling me lizards are running over the world. I'm talking about David Icke. Like, he's making some good points about mind control, but he's telling me lizards are running over. Yeah, so it's like, who are you gonna believe? Someone that's yeah, but then you go compare that with the mainstream news. It's all professional. All the documentaries are done very professional looking. They all wear suits and everything, and so you can't just throw away the mainstream. You have to understand why it works the way they work, because they're professional. That's the thing. People literally look at them like, these guys are spending this much hours to give me the news, that they're probably telling me the truth. That's what they're subconsciously thinking to themselves. And it goes back to my stoner friend where I didn't believe him initially, right? But now I present a lot of info to him. I think you've seen some of his stuff. You know, Eyes is watching on BitChute. Do you know? Steve Eyes. Yeah, so he's got a huge BitChute channel now, and he's pretty much doing that full time. And he throws in some 9/11 stuff that I send him as well. So he gets a lot of info from mine. But if you see his, go on.
Yeah, is he similar ages with you, or?
Oh yeah, he's just a few years younger. He's like 34, I think. So if you go,
do you know how your cousin? How did he come to the conclusion it was an inside job early on?
Yeah, so he was a stoner, but he would also watch Alex Jones a lot. So he told me he remembered going back in high school, like school finishes, he goes back and watches the new documentary by Alex Jones or whatnot. So he was big on the alt media one. But he says, because he actually looked at the stuff. So like, unlike me, I never looked at I literally never even looked at like a photo, or maybe passively saw a news thingy, but I never actually looked at it. So he looked at it and he says, that's no way is that just a gravity collapse. And he always mentioned Building 7. It's like, no way, especially Building 7, how's that coming down? And I never even knew about Building 7. Even when he told me, I never even like put it in my brain he was talking about another building. So that's kind of the brainwashing where it's like, it's that strong where you're not even looking at it. So he actually looked at it, is what I'm trying to say. So I think that's one thing the weed does, makes you actually be more observant. So I had a pretty much life-changing trip one time where I every day-to-day things, you're more observant because now you're literally focused on everything, people's expressions and so on. So that is one positive about weed. You become way more observant. So if you're looking at 9/11 while you're high, you're actually going to be looking at, oh look, that's literally turning to dust. If you have that other attitude, but at least with his side, it was like, that's not a Osama bin Laden event. He just couldn't put it to words beyond the Alex Jones one. And Alex Jones and them, even though they say demolition, they never really say it. They all say we need an investigation, a new one. And we need the government to explain, to look at the explosive demolition evidence, and to conclude, to see if it holds water or whatnot. So even then, they hold back from fully saying it's explosives, but they're saying there's evidence for it. We need a new investigation. It's like, what does that mean? You want the government to stamp on saying, "Oh, sorry, we actually did all this." That's not gonna happen. And for an event 20 years ago, it's like saying, "Hey, admit that you guys shot JFK." Like, no, we won't. Yeah. But
just on,
go on.
Yeah, just on Trump. Do you think he'll get in again, or?
Oh yeah. So the Trump one is very, very interesting. So again, this goes back to conspiracy info. If we're right, always think as opposed to just trying to convince someone we're right. If we are right about our worldview, then we should have better info to predict what happens. And one info is that predictive programming one, where so again, I was able to predict the Trump one because it was pretty obvious. That kept driving it home. But we have the the knowledge which is scripted. Once you understand all the world's a stage, as users commenting on there, and then you can actually start predicting a better prediction than someone else. So my prediction is, what it's looking like is, I think Kamala will win, and then Trump has a January 6th type takeover. Because the January 6th stuff happened, and it's not just going to go away, is what I'm saying. It's still looming over the predictive programming nation, like the world stage. Because and they keep pushing he's Hitler. Then they haven't stopped. If you looked at the DNC, so I watched the news as like intelligence gathering to see what is being like talked about, and or what is the general like state of the world population. And so the Trump one is because they kept saying we have to win against Trump to save democracy, because or else something happens. And the January 6th one, they literally showed a whole like montage and they made it seem like Trump was telling everybody, we're going to go there and take over. And then they like, have you seen the live footage of the January 6th where they kind of like let them go in or whatnot, and it seems way more casual?
Yeah.
But if you watch CNN, but if you watch CNN, it literally looks like they had a full-on like takeover, a extremist Nazi takeover. They wanted to kill everyone inside. That's literally what the news is telling Democrat side. And my view is the mainstream always wins in terms of the narrative until people start waking up. It's all fake. So whatever's on Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is literally saying Trump, Hitler, and even Trump's own vice president, the previous one, Mike Pence. So he's like running away according to the narrative from his life basically, because the Trump supporters want him hanged, and he doesn't support Trump anymore. And now his new vice president literally called him America's Hitler before now getting nominated for, and then now becoming his vice president. So to sum it up, it's the Trump narrative, the Trump Hitler narrative is not stopping anytime soon, and that eventually ends up with World War III, in my humble opinion.
To be honest, I think you could be right there. To be fair, but I was kind of thinking he would get in again. But there's always twists and turns. In the narrative they put out, and they chuck in different wild cards here and there. So yeah, I think there could be a few more twists yet, to be honest. What did you think of the guy, RFK?
Oh, RFK, yeah. So that one, he's definitely just another puppet who's too scared. He literally says he's too scared to talk about 9/11. He was always there to eventually promote Trump, in my opinion. And so now so I think every single one of these big influencers, they're just following some sort of Freemasonic script or mind control or whatnot.
Yeah. I think I read yesterday that, or today maybe, that Trump said he would release the JFK files. I think I'd heard that before. He said that last time, did he not?
Something like that. I think Trump did release some JFK like declassified files or something like that. But again, it's a bunch of nothing. Like government's releasing that. It's like, imagine they released a whole bunch of 9/11 stuff. Be like, okay, see, look, Sharif Muhammad guy, whatever, Khalid Muhammad. Look at his dialogue with U.S. FBI agents or whatever. Like, these are all nonsense. Who cares? Yeah. They're not going to release. Oh, the towers are turning to dust. Or JFK actual shooting.
Yeah, have you noticed recently they've been saying or putting out information in regards to Saudi Arabia possibly being connected to it?
Yeah. It's like it's a never-ending nonsense. But the one interesting thing is, so they'll put out these weird connections. But the thing is, there is some truth to it, which is, Saudi Arabia is also involved, because like all the countries are pretty much involved. Eventually be like, oh, look, there's MI5 actually were tracking the terrorists for 2 years beforehand. It's like, yeah, they probably were, because they're all patsies. It's like, so a lot of it is just like, it's like real world simulations that they're all the world tracking. And it's similar to 9/11, where it wasn't just US doing exercises. Russia was doing an exercise. And apparently one of them was one exercise the US was doing had to go near Alaska or near Russia, because they were worried that if Russia's exercise turns into an actual attack, so they're like, oh, Russia's doing on 9/11, they're doing an exercise, we need to do one too, in case that theirs actually turns to an attack. And then and there were also other cases in history apparently where they were doing exercise and then it turns into an actual an event, like.
Yeah, it seems to be quite a common thing. I think even in the UK, on the 7/7 bombing.
Yeah.
A guy got interviewed on the day, and he was like, "We were actually doing a drill just down the road."
At the same place, at the same like tube stations, all three or whatnot.
And it was in relation to a terrorist attack, and it's like, come on, man. Seems to be a common thing, which is usually a bit of a giveaway, to be honest. If there's a drill going on, be prepared. Something's going to go down, a false flag. Interesting on the exercise they done with Russia, because When that happened, well, when it was like in full flow, the whole exercise, then the incident happened in New York. So America kind of pulled back and asked Russia to stop, and they stopped their exercise as well. So it's like they're working together, but a lot of people don't see it like that. They think, oh, they're enemies and they hate each other, but I think that's far from the case. They might hate us, but they don't hate each other in the top sort of.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, because that's one thing you realize. You're not going to have the presidents and whatnot going to war. It's the people that signed up for the military. So, yeah, Russia and them, it's all just a giant show. So their actual like agenda, it's not what it's being told, which is whatever the current agenda is. Well, nobody even really knows what it is. It's just geopolitical, like trying to gain geopolitical strength and whatnot. Yeah, but again, not yeah. Because I'm like, black budget technology exists. What and they don't tell, even from mainstream terms. Both sides have black budget technology. Okay, what is that technology? They don't tell us. All right, so then we're just pawns in any scenario. Even if they're against each other, we're still pawns because we have to live we have to go and put oil or electricity inside the car, whatever you're using. Whereas they probably have, even by mainstream terms, advanced energy technology. So it's like, all right, so we're just pawns. Even if there's no global conspiracy, we're actually no. By definition, there's a conspiracy. If you have a bunch of secret money, secret projects, the public doesn't know about it. It's a conspiracy. Like I don't know what else. It's a taxed, legal conspiracy. Well, illegal in my humble opinion, but nobody bothers standing up to them. So, but yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, and then the Trump stuff about the prediction one. Yeah, so I do think he'll be running it. So he'll be president, but again, like the twists and turns. But the question is how exactly. So yeah, I'm like a split between he wins it outright and or he loses the vote but takes over anyway through some sort of electoral college stuff where because they were trying to, because in January 6th they were trying to get Mike Pence to sign off saying that yeah, we can reverse the election basically, but he wouldn't sign off the other. So if you look at the January 6th stuff, even if people vote, they vote for the thing called electoral college. So they vote for people that represent them in each state, and then they're the ones that vote, and then the vice president has to certify it on January 6th. And then that's why they were storming the Capitol to prevent him from certifying it, because he wasn't obeying Trump by not certifying it. So even mainstream, we don't actually live in an actual democracy where people vote. You actually vote for some people that go there, and you assume that they're going to give the vote that you did, and then the vice president has to certify it. So it's like a weird system there. And
have you ever looked into, just going back to 9/11, have you ever looked into there was a situation just after 9/11 where there was anthrax being sent to different journalists? I've not really looked into it. I've only heard about it. What do you think that was?
Yeah, I think that was another exercise. I haven't looked at too much because I'm like, it just seems too much. They just throw everything in there. I'll go back to my notes. I was gonna talk about it. There was an exercise for a outbreak on 9/11 as well, of a disease outbreak.
Oh yeah.
I'll see where the notes are. Okay, there's the notes. I just want to see. I think it was anthrax. Yeah. So here is this one. I'll share this screen. This is what I was gonna share it in the live stream. We'll do it. Share screen. And okay, how do I window StreamYard? All right, let me know if you could see it. You can see the screen. Okay, that's this one here. So June 22 to 23, there's smallpox exercise, similar to the anthrax psyop around 9/11. I think this was also on 2001. Let's see. Okay, this was so dark winter exercise. So it wasn't just exercise for the hijacking. It was dark winter exercise held at Andrews AFB, Washington, D.C., June 22nd. And again, on June is when there was a whole bunch of exercises going on for the hijacking as well. And then portrayed a fictional scenario depicting a covert smallpox attack on U.S. citizens. The scenario is set in 3 successive national security NSC meetings, segments 1, 2, and 3, that took place over a period of 14 days. And then former senior government officials played the roles of NSC members responding to the evolving epidemic. Representatives from the media were among the observers of these mock NSC meetings and played journalists during the scenarios press conference. Anyway, so this was a smallpox June there. That was in June 2001. And then the other thing is 3 months before 9/11 on June, this is where you had the Amalgama, the drone or missile being shot from here and from a warship, and then it was blamed on literally Osama bin Laden. Like this is June 2001. So that same month, you have smallpox attack or outbreak. Yeah, I think it was an attack. I think this was an attack. So it wasn't an outbreak. It was a covert smallpox attack. So similar to anthrax. So another predictive programming, and again, all at the same time as a hijacking. So I haven't looked at. Besides that, I haven't looked at too much of it. Which is is again 9/11. There's every rabbit hole you can get into it. All right, and stop screen there.
Yeah,
and
interesting.
So that's the thing with the exercises. It's like predictive programming. It's a bit of it like they're just telling you what they're doing, because if everything's a script, then even the exercises, what they're exercising for is for the main event. So it's like Olympics. People are training for the Olympic event in 4 years. Similar to this one here, they're doing the exercises for the election every 4 years, for the PSYOP and whatnot. And
I mean, I know we covered Judy Wood and the 2 towers coming down, but what sort of stands out to you over the whole sort of saga with the Pentagon, Flight 93? Is there anything that really stands out that points to it being not bin Laden, basically?
Well, the Pentagon one, it's like that's one I've a lot of even like mainstream people that say it's planes and whatnot. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like they're going at ground level. It's flying at ground level, like without even looking at the mainstream narrative. The Pentagon's on the ground, and you're going 500 miles at ground level. It's just no one's doing that. Okay, you go tell any pilot in the world, okay, do this here. You have 100 tries. I think they'll do it in. Well, they may do it once in 100, but if you tell them here is what the flight path was, none of them will do it, because they have to do a giant loop. And so basically what I mean is, if you actually look at the narrative of it, it's completely insane. And they also went through 5 light poles. I don't have you seen those the video, the animation? So it went through 5 light poles. And then when I was in a debate in the Boston Out of Truth, David Chandler says, well, the wing actually broke off and hit something else on the ground. And then I looked at it, and apparently, so it went through 5 light poles. So here, it went through 5 light poles, like one by one by one by one, and apparently hit a small generator. And then there was trailing smoke for a few seconds. Okay. So again, it's just impossible. I can show that, show the thing. I have it. I think I posted this in my Telegram literally a few hours ago. Let's go all the way down here. Okay. This is. I'm going to share my screen right now. And yeah, the Pentagon one. Oh, the Pentagon one is just impossible. I just don't know how to stress enough. Like it's to the point where I don't even feel the need to persuade anyone. It's just impossible. Like it's like trying to persuade someone that 2 masks is bad. like 1 mask is really bad. 2, you must be insane. If I have to convince you, okay. Can you see my screen? Here. Will, can you see my screen right here? Okay, yeah, I can see there. Okay, I'm showing this one right here. So this was so here's not only did the alleged 9/11 Pentagon quote plane strike 5 light poles while going 530 miles an hour at ground level, but the right wing allegedly struck a portable generator seconds before striking the first floor of the Pentagon. So it's going at cruising speed at the ground, and then this right here, so it made a 330-degree spiral. So it made a giant, like almost 360 spiral clockwise. But end of the revolution, it was going at 2,000 feet, basically near sea level. And then the wings clipped 5 street poles, and the right wing in particular struck a portable generator, creating a smoke trail seconds before, not just like a split second, a seconds before, flying at 530 miles an hour. Again, it's ludicrous. And here's on the right is an actual crash test with a wooden pole, and just slices off. So it went through 5 of these at ground level. This is going ground level, hits these poles, it just crashes, and there's like a slight hill on top. And but look at this right here. It went through 5 metal ones and a small generator, and it was trailing smoke for 5 seconds. Again, it's impossible. So here's a regular wing, and this is just going just crawling speed. And again, like I was saying before, even if this was going fast, it's the same thing as this is stationary, and you're hitting it with this. So to give you an example, if you go to a Boeing and all you had was a sledgehammer, the question is, how long would it take before you can make the plane completely immobile, like it won't fly? Like literally, just give 15 minutes with a sledgehammer. Go get a sledgehammer, and you can literally destroy a Boeing single-handedly in like half an hour, and it will not fly. It will not even like it would be because again, all you do is hit these weak aluminum-based steel. Aluminum-based wings. And then this is the Pentagon one. Here's Pentagon. This doesn't include the part where it hit the generator. So I don't know why it's not showing. Okay, it's not playing, but I will full video. Where's the full video? Okay, I'll play on YouTube. So this is alleged crash physics, and we'll play right here. Okay. So here's lamp pole 1. Oh, that's right here. So this is the mainstream narrative. It's going cruising speed at the ground, which is again impossible. Just by the lift, it will be lifting up from the air pocket underneath. Okay, so I'm gonna play double speed, and we're gonna play this. If you believe this, so I got to the point where I don't care if you believe this. I literally don't care anymore. Okay, that's 2. Is it now? So that's 2 hit, and they show an image of something. All right. All right. There's another one, 3. So it's hitting all of these. All right. And then there's 4. Oh, and then apparently hit the ground here. So apparently hit the ground from damaged engine or something. Okay, that's what they're saying. This is a narrative bit off. Some people saying it hit the generator for seconds before. And there's the 5th one's going to hit. And there's just a pole. All right. There's another one. It just keeps going on. And it hasn't even swayed left or right. All right. If you believe this. And then with the Pentagon, there's no actual like evidence. They have all these security cameras. And all you have is again, that's the animation, and this is the hard evidence, an image of nothing. Okay, so an image of absolutely nothing. So that's the animation. There's the nothing. There's literally nothing. Is that even okay? Is that something? Okay, and then there's explosion there, and then there's also nothing on the ground there. All right, so that was that. All right. And it's going in, and then they're going to show an animation. This is what happened. This is what the mainstream says. And it goes in to the ground. Okay, anyways, so that's impossible. And then going back to the Shanksville one. The Shanksville one is another one. So I focused mainly on the Flight 175, the second alleged plane, because that one there's at least like a bunch of videos, so people are like more brainwashed by it. But if you actually look at the Pentagon one, it's impossible. And the Shanksville one, the GIF is just literally impossible. You get the bandana survived, the passport survived, and then now you get this one right here. Okay, this is what happened, and there's like a tiny hole of like a big hole that's not big enough for this plane to go in, and the plane's not going to crush through the ground. This is the mainstream narrative. So again, I rest my case. I don't care if you believe it or not. That's how I would tell people. So Pentagon one, it's to the point where it's like it's too ridiculous, and at the Boston Annal of the Truth people, even though there were half the disinfo guys like Richard Gage and that Aiden guy and then David Chandler were pushing real planes at Shanksville and Pentagon, the hosts actually didn't believe it. They said they think it's missile, but they said, but anyways, continue on. It's literally it's just you can't. I don't know how anyone could debate it. Go on.
Yeah, I was still there then. That was quite interesting. And I think the guy said, it would have been impossible for the plane to not basically break apart before it hit the Pentagon. So he was pointing to it not being an aircraft. But Gage was talking about, well, it might have been a
Momentum physics, yeah.
yeah, and he talked about an aircraft that was painted, or
Oh, yeah.
might have been painted to look like an airliner.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, the Pentagon one, I was looking into Pentagon footage on the day, and seemingly the FBI went around all the different outlets and petrol stations and stuff like that were close by and confiscated all the CCTV, but they never ever released it. So there was something there that they never wanted us to see, clearly. But in terms of the whole Richard Gage and his cronies and stuff like that, at what point did you begin to notice there was a kind of controlled alternative narrative to 9/11?
Yeah, so right when I saw the front and back cover of Judy Wood's book, because I'm like, how come nobody brought this up? Right away from there, I'm like, okay, Alex Jones. Before I knew Alex Jones, he was the only one I actually looked at saying inside job. And even my cousin, I'm like, why weren't you telling me about this? And so on. Because I eventually convinced him. It was Judy Wood was right. So right away, I knew I was really mad at everybody. So because it's like, this wasn't even brought up anywhere. Like, I never heard about Judy Wood ever until that moment. So right from there, I knew there's a cover up. So I'm like, anyone saying opposite, any 9/11 truther saying opposite is just either ignorant or completely like lying to you. And so when I told my cousin, like, hey, how come you never talked about Judy Wood and Tower Turning Dust? He's like, oh, the space beam lady. That's his first words. I'm like, all right. So he was even drank the Kool-Aid. And then I eventually showed him, like, I'm like, here, this is, I eventually drove the point home, and now he's, he throws in some of that during his podcast a few times, but yeah. So I knew it right away, and then so because again, it goes back from my mathematical like standpoint. So when you do math, you literally find what's true and then build around it. So as opposed to saying, so basically. You have to pick something that you think is 100% true. Then you can go along with it. So, for example, the towers turn to dust. That means technology exists that turns to dust. That also means nobody else is talking about it. So then the question is, why is nobody else talking about this one point? And then you build around it, as opposed to assuming, okay, this technology is impossible. Thereby, then the question is, okay, so what happened on 9/11 then? So then, what turned it to dust? So did it turn to dust, or the video CGI? So there's no other way around it, in my opinion. If someone thinks the technology is impossible, they have to say the evidence on 9/11 is CGI. Or there's because it's literally evidence. You can literally go see thousands of photos, thousands of videos that all show the exact same thing. Towers turn to dust, very little rubble. So so basically, so that's what I mean. So and then so my view is, the evidence is real. Like, it's not fake photos or videos. I had to block someone on Twitter yesterday for saying, oh, the collapse was CGI. I'm like, man, you are absolutely insane. All right,
I did see that.
yeah. So you get a lot of these disinfo bots. So there's a whole Substack one saying there's no one actually died in 9/11. It was all crisis actors or whatnot. Everyone. They said including the people in the towers. So
even the jumpers.
yeah. The thing is, the jumpers are fake too. It's CGI.
They were crisis actors.
Yeah, they're saying that they're using AI or something to do all this. Yeah, so it's all just a bunch of nonsense. So basically, so that's what I mean. Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, I think they've been good at kind of mixing stuff up, so no one can ever really get to the bottom of it, to be honest. And I think when it comes to the numbers of people that seemingly died, I think they inflated it a bit. When it first happened, they came out and said, oh, there's going to be 10,000 people dead.
Oh,
then
wow.
it dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped down. Because what people also started to say was, well, if the terrorists wanted to have such a big effect and kill so many people, would they not have waited until 3 o'clock in the afternoon? And then the towers would have been full. Because I think at the 9:15 in the morning, 8:30 in the morning, there wasn't that many people in it. So I think the numbers regarding the people that died were a wee bit inflated. It seemed to be mainly cleaners and not like your CEOs and stuff like that, which is kind of fitting. They weren't there. They were still in their bed, but the cleaners and I think there was people in the restaurant prepping for cooking and stuff like that. I can't remember, what is it called? Windows on the World, the towers that was there. The restaurant. Yeah. So I think the people that died, the numbers are debatable, to be honest. But to say no,
people died.
To come flat out and say, "Oh, nobody died," I think that's a bit of a stretch, to be honest. Because if that's the case, well, even the people who consumed the dust later up, are they crisis actors as well? the people who got cancer and stuff like that.
No.
I can't understand where people are coming from, but I mean, if you just need to look at it to see what happened, and it's hard for me to put a figure on what I think how many people died, but I don't think it was even close to 3,000. Like I said, the paper that came out that day said 10,000 dead, and it's in a photo. One of the photos they put out, you can see the ground zero. Then there's a paper saying 10,000 dead, and it's like, really? Fuck.
No, they're probably estimated. Well, also because the towers were like they didn't fall right away, so they had a lot of people evacuate, even if it was filled. So a lot of them were evacuating, but then the ones that stayed, they were actually being told by the fire department saying you're safe inside the building, or the building, at least Tower 2. Like, you're safe inside Tower 2, don't worry. And then it gets hit. So, but again, yeah, it was also in the morning, and I think the main reason for the morning is because it's the morning of, I think, the busiest day of the year. It's like, or the start of the work year, school year, in the morning on a Tuesday on September. And in the morning, so that you actually have the whole day for the event. If they did it at night, yeah, obviously it's not the hijackers. If they did it at night, half the world's going to sleep already, and America's they're already doing their own daytime thing and playing a sport or watching sports or watching the news or whatnot, or yeah, basically not in their actual day to day, where everyone now can remember where were you when this happened, and you're in school and all this, as opposed to, but yeah, so every single person was busy doing something, and yeah, but again, the amount of people that died or not, it's debatable. But again, people did die. Like, you can literally see, there's videos and of people literally like all completely burnt, hands, like some person's hand is literally on the ground. I don't know if you've seen that one. I've seen someone's hand was actually on the ground, like it was cut off.
I think so. Yeah, I think I did see it. Yeah,
there's body parts on there, and then also, yeah, but then what's interesting is they closed it off after 9/11. They closed it off for like weeks, and no one was allowed to take photos in that day. Okay, and then
yeah, that was interesting. They were quick at shutting it all down and keeping everybody away. No one's allowed to see it. And what's quite funny as well is, well, it's interesting. They talk about the heat on Ground Zero, yet there's rescue dogs running around the Ground Zero. Like, well, they would have surely a dog would have got its feet burnt, or if it was so hot and there was molten fucking lava and all this molten metal, but yet there's dogs sniffing around it and searching around it. I thought that was quite interesting.
And
maybe it wasn't.
Yeah, and there's thousands of people actually that were in the part of the cleanup crew. Have you seen that? I'll share my screen just to show the audience. Because the heat part, I had a debate with a real life person. It's like, sometimes you have to be careful if someone's an actual disinfo agent or just drank too much of the alt media Kool-Aid. So I show this one here. I want to go heat. So I have a giant extra on the heat on 9/11. So you have that Edna Cintron lady inside literally this WTC1, and you have these weird cutoff there. So there's her inside. So there's no heat. There's no heat inside here. There's like barely any heat on this at the actual impact site, and you have literally thousands of people, like at least yeah, hundreds or thousands on top of this super hot metal or whatever. Like you can see this photo. They're literally there's so many people on top of this walking around at ground level on top of these boiling boiling or whatever heated stuff there. And yeah, and for some reason the mainstream they said that the geological survey was showing that there was like literally hotspots in the 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Like what are these getting these data from? And one of the locations has like water boiling and water not boiling. So this is a spot that allegedly had 819 degrees Fahrenheit. So, and they're walking on water. So again, the heat part is ridiculous. I just don't even know what else to say. It's like
yeah. Well, I think seeing the rescue dogs walking on it. It's like a dog wouldn't. Dogs are not. I mean, humans maybe because they're stupid. We're stupid, but a dog would be like, "No, I'm not walking on that." Why would they burn their paws? They just wouldn't. So it proved to me that the temperatures were exaggerated to an extent.
Yeah, definitely. I haven't seen the rescue dogs. I'll have a look right now. Rescue dogs, 9/11 Rebel. That'd be a good one. Have you posted about it or no? Let's see, rescue dogs.
Yeah, what video? I put it in a video.
Oh, okay. I got it.
There's one there.
Yeah, there's one dog. There's a rescue dog in there. So they're not getting boiled to death. and apparently the first dog that died was named Sirius. Sirius, Sirius, the dog star. So
That's interesting.
Yeah, have you heard about that one? Sirius dog star.
I've not heard that. No.
9/11 Sirius dog star. So, I mean, the dog tribute. A tribute to PAPD K9 officer Sirius. So they hold tribute to this dog. Yeah, and then let's see what it says. And then yes, the dog died. They had a giant tribute to him. And again, Sirius is the dog star. Soiled boots. These boots aren't melted. Okay, so this guy's working there. So Sirius dog star. So just ignore the 9/11. So Sirius is called the dog star, and that was the first one that died. So there's some weird occult stuff there. Yeah, dog. Yeah, the dog star. It's called dog star, reflecting its prominence in constellation, the greater dog, etc. Dog days. Yeah, and it's the brightest star in the night sky, and it's part of the constellation Canis. Yeah, so it's a weird. They had to have a dog star there, so that's interesting.
Yeah, what a name to pick. I mean, that's pretty much says a lot. That, to be fair, that would be its name. Shot caller.
Yeah. So apparently he was. Yeah, I was just sorry. Apparently he's an explosive detection dog working in Tower 2. Okay, go on.
Yeah, I mean, so was the dog looking for explosives after the event? That would seem a bit. I mean, what would be the point in that? I'm unsure what the point with that would be. But someone mentioned dogs wear boots. Yeah, you could probably get, but they weren't wearing boots. The photos that I seen, they weren't wearing a big pair of fucking Timberland boots. It was just their paws. And a dog's paw is so sensitive. Any bit of heat, they would have just fucking walked away. They would have said, "No, I'm not doing it. You could sniff for the bombs yourself."
Yeah, it'll be interesting how that dog died. Actually, how did he die? It died in the attack. Oh, in the attack. How does he? No, apparently he was inside. He was working in. I'm gonna show the screen. I'm just gonna read some stuff. I haven't looked at it. Besides the dog star, serious like astrology aspect of it. Okay, I'll share window, StreamYard. Okay, so here we're on here. Explosive detection, NYC Port Authority on January 25th, 2002. Workers at Ground Zero recovered the remains of Sirius. So his remains, who believed to be the only canine to die in the attack. So the only dog to die was named Sirius, and he was September 11, 2001. He was an explosive dog explosive detection dog working in Tower 2 of the world. Gave his life for this, including inspecting vehicles for explosives that entered WTC on September 11th. We're in the office in Tower 2 when they felt the first plane slam into the tower. Oh, so they were inside and they hit it. They weren't doing work there. But he was an explosive detector. Look for cars and church center. And his name is Sirius. Okay, he left the Sirius in office, promising to return, but while assisting in wrecking crews for several hours, and then Tower 1 collapsed. Once freed, he attempted to return to Tower 2, which was now rubble and inaccessible. Okay, or it was he was working in his office in Tower 2 when they felt the first plane hit the Tower 1. He left the dog in the office, promising to return. Okay, that's what happened. So he left the dog in the office, and he went to go see what's going on. So that's crazy. That's the or if that story's true, that's a lot of coincidences going on. But
so
yeah,
the dog was actually in the tower before it happened.
In the Tower 2. So he was in the Tower 2. The owner, or the worker was in Tower 2. And he left them in the office after the Tower 1 got hit, and then he promised to go return, and then he never. But then he was assisting rescue operations. Lim became trapped in a stairwell along with a grandmother, firefighters ladder for several hours when Tower 1 collapsed. So they were stuck in it in Tower 2 when after Tower 1 collapsed. Once freed, that was after Tower 1. Never mind, that was Tower 1. They felt the first plane hit. Lim left Sirius in office, but while assisting in rescue operations, Lim became trapped. Oh yeah, so he became trapped in ladder company 6 or whatnot. So he became trapped in the stairwell or whatnot for several hours, and then the other one collapsed. But Tower 1 collapsed after Tower 2. I don't know what's going on here. Oh, did he go up in there? Oh, yeah. This story isn't. This is a bad article. We'll see what the actual article is. But anyway, so he was in Tower 2. The dog was in Tower 2 in the office. His owner left him after Tower 1 got hit. So that's what at least we know.
Yeah, kind of wondering if the dog was based in the tower, like quite a lot. So were they regulars searching for bombs given the whole 1993 scenario? So maybe that would point to no explosives as well. Because if they had sniffer dogs in the building constantly, surely they would have sniffed something out, right?
Yeah, but then the Richard Gage and them will say, "Oh, it's one of those odorless explosives." Because in the Boston Island Truth, did you hear them say that there were actually it was one of those soundless explosives? They said soundless thermite. Yeah, I'm like, you. There's no winning with them, and eventually they'll fall back. It's AI then. It's like because their assumption is technology is impossible, and now so that's kind of what I mean. Like, what is our assumption? My assumption is towers turn to dust. Technology is possible. Now you can build around it. There's the other way. It's impossible. And anything that dents this, we have to remove it. So it's CGI, soundless explosives, which is, again, what in the world does that mean?
That was funny because Norman had put out questions and then he got kicked. They were like, right, get rid of Norman, kick him off. And it was actually Richard Gage. He said, oh, get him out, get rid of him. So Norman got kicked, and one of the questions Norman had was about the Building 7, and I had put it in saying, why was there no recorded explosions in Building 7 and stuff like that? And that's when Gage started saying, well, it was explosives that never made any noise and stuff like that. I was thinking, bloody hell, man. And that's what, and when he'd kicked Norman and they sort of united against you at one point, as well, that kind of opened my eyes to how this group operates in terms of shutting down any other narrative apart from the one that they've got in terms of a controlled demolition situation. So it was quite eye-opening, that, for me.
And the plane part too. And the planes too. Yeah, that was
quite funny, to be honest. I thought at one point they kicked me because I was new to they never recognised my name, and they were like, right, kick anybody who's new. So they kicked me out, but I got back in because originally I think they thought it was me who was the girl that was running the stream. It was a girl and a guy, I think.
Yeah. Do you know? That's Gene Lartonda. He's from the 9/11 playroom or war room.
Yeah.
And his wife. Yeah, that's his wife.
She started saying, "Oh, well, they've hacked into my laptop. They've got control of my screen." And then eventually they started blaming it on Norman.
Yeah, everything. It's all normal. And then, but no, Norman said that you have a YouTube channel and that you're not the one doing the hacking. So I think that's why they kept you in there. And you were quiet. Yeah, you weren't unlike the other guy.
All right, yeah. Yeah, because
Yeah.
they did kick me and then they let me back in, but I stayed after it as well, and that's when they started saying, oh, it was Norman, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. That was hilarious. So they kicked Norman out, but then they didn't realize I was still there. And even when they were coming at me, it's like their points again. It's like I can tell that they are trying to impose their worldview as opposed to actually trying to look at evidence. Because multiple times I said I could show you the evidence. For example, the no swaying. The building didn't sway on impact, or but they wouldn't let me share it. They wouldn't let me share my screen. And
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then the guy says, no, there's evidence here. I just wanted to, and he says, I wanted to just bring up that there's contrary opinions to your thing. I'm like, yeah, but I could show you the video with no swaying at all. And that's evidence where you can't, there's no, you can't really debate it. There's no significant swaying from Scott Myers. Yeah.
I thought it was quite funny when one of the people were trying to tell you, oh, there's a physics course that I've done that you could go on.
Yeah, that was I was so the thing is I held back because again they're I didn't want to get kicked out, so I held back. I was gonna say well, I was actually looking for a seismology course. I was wondering if you could help because did you hear so that was David Chandler. Have you seen that clip where he says he's not a seismologist? I will
possibly.
show that, or we are showing that. So I was super close to saying it, but I held back because he would have really got mad, or they would have kicked me out. I didn't want to come out as mocking them. Besides the one phrase I kept saying, I don't know what physics you guys are looking at. So I'll share my screen. I'll just show you who that guy was that brought it up. Yeah, so once you understand these guys, and you get kind of comfortable. Like I'm like, all right, they're disinfo agents. You know, they're gonna just say opposite everything you say. So I will say seismologist, or I'll say Chandler. So I made a clip right here. So I wrote MES 9/11 taking MES taking 9/11 physics teacher David Chandler to school. This is the one I put a clip here from Norman. Norman actually cut it from the stream. So I was, yeah. So anyways, I was talking about the physics one there, and then this is the clip that from the video that 9/11 Revisionist made. Actually, but then I helped edit as well. So I added this text, and this was from a previous Zoom call where this Roadrunner, that's actually Norman, that's 9/11 Revisionist. He's asking David Chandler some questions about the seismic impact of Building 7. And then look what he says at the end. And then I add the emoji and Zoom and everything. So 9/11 Revisionist asking disinfo agents, David Chandler and Richard Gage, tough questions. So they're all together. These guys are one of the higher ups in their little MK Ultra, whatever, mind control program. Let's play this.
I don't think, I can't hear it.
Oh, you can't hear it? Can you hear the audio or no?
I couldn't hear it.
Oh, you can't hear it. Oh, maybe. Let's see the settings. Oh, before I was playing audio. Let's see the audio. Speaker, Yeti. Okay, can the audience hear it? Can y'all hear it? No audio. Okay, so you guys let me know if there's no audio. Okay, I'll do a present window. I think. Present. Yeah, I don't know why. Okay, whoops. Let's try this again. Share screen. Okay, because that video is worth the hassle. Okay, I'll share tab. Let me know if this audio works now. Yeah, can this audio work? Wait, it's still not playing.
It's got the audio button on it now, so it should.
Okay. So apparently it's similar to Google Meet where you can only share audio. Oh, is this a muted thingy there? Sound is muted on this page. Allow sound. Okay, this is allow. Okay, I'm gonna play this. I don't know. I gotta refresh. I don't know why it's frozen. Okay, let's go here. Chandler. Let's try it again. Let me know if you guys can hear me. And
as far as what they would do.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, I can hear it now.
Okay, is it loud? The volume's good?
Yeah, volume's good.
Okay, so I'm not sure which physics you're looking at, but the way it works is so that was me talking about physics. But anyway, so here's David Chandler, 9/11 versus asking disinfo agents, David Chandler and Richard Gage, tough questions. So that's David Chandler, the one with the beard. That's Richard Gage with no hair. That's an interesting dynamic. He probably told him, okay, you go full on hair. This guy goes full on Xavier. Okay, let's go.
Measuring things. The building falling, could it be measured on the Richter scale?
Well, there were, when it fell, it created seismic waves that were picked up. I don't remember the names of the places. I never looked into that, but Ted Walter, who I was doing this paper with, has done some. And then there's some other guys who have looked at the seismic signals that they picked up from 9/11.
Yeah. The second part of that question was, what seismic readings could we expect? Do you have?
I'm not a seismologist. So let's go on. I'm not a seismologist. So let's go on.
All right. So he's not a seismologist. Let's go on. So I was gonna ask him, next time? Oh no, I told him I was gonna ask him in the Boston 9/11 Truth. Can I or can you give me a course on seismology? So anyways, so this guy's here spent like literally 20 years on 9/11. Has a course on physics in 9/11 physics, but will not talk about the seismic impact or the lack of it on 9/11. So again, what in the world's going on here? So that was that. You could hear. So you heard that one, yeah. So that was the seismologist. So anytime I hear about him, I think about him being a seismologist or not. And
that was a good one.
And on Boston 9/11 Truth, there's that one guy, Chris Bergier, the aerospace engineer. You heard from him asking questions in the live stream.
Yeah,
the one that he showed the impact one. So he was kicked out of Boston 9/11 Truth like years ago because he was promoting Dr. Judy Wood's work. But then they realized he's the only one handing out pamphlets because they were forcing him to hand out thermite pamphlets, but he wouldn't. He refused to do it. But then they realized he's the only one that actually works like that's on the boots on the ground like every week or whatnot, promoting Boston 9/11 Truth. So like, all right, we can't lose him. So they allowed him back in, and then and now he's trying to get them to allow me to present like on 9/11. But we'll see about that. I highly doubt they will allow me in there, especially after our debate with quote debate with Richard and David.
Yeah, I did hear them say, "Oh, we could get you on to present," and I kind of thought, will they? Will they though? Will they change their mind?
Well, that was Chris Bergier saying that. I don't know. He was the one saying it. He's the one trying to get them to get me on, but I highly doubt they will let me on. Especially because that Gene, the Gene guy, his name is Gene. He actually promised Norman that he would allow him to present, and then he never did. And
yeah,
so 9/11.
Yeah, I didn't like the guy Gene. I thought, oh yeah. No, I just did not like his attitude at all. Yeah. And I think when Norman asked him about the debate, that's when they thought, right, kick him off, kick him out.
Yeah, because he was supposed to have a debate with Richard Gage and Norman. So so here he has a live stream called 9/11 War Room. So this is the playroom. So he has a thing called 9/11 War Room. So here it is. But then he kicked out Norman and so on, and he was about to kick me out, but I was quite undercover. And then so I changed the profile to this 9/11 Playroom by the Gene Latanda. So that's the playroom that they're in. So here's the 9/11 War Room. And then they do it every given Sunday. Did they stop doing it? Or they still do it, I think, every Sunday. That's crazy. So every Sunday they're going out putting nonsense. And they got all these Zoom call stuff. So again, it's about the professionalism. If the alt media disinfo is pushing this hard, we need to step up our game. And that's why one criticism of Judy Wood is that yeah, she has the evidence and so on, but she doesn't present it like on the digital realm. She doesn't promote herself as well. And if it wasn't for Andrew Johnson, I probably would have never heard about 9/11 because Andrew Johnson and Richard Hall. Richard Hall uses audience, but Andrew Johnson actually runs all the websites, and he's the one who sells the books. So he actually packages it at his house. When you order the book, he's actually packaging it, and then there's a delivery service at UK where they come and pick it up. But all the websites are him. Yeah, it
was Richard D. Hall. I got it through his website.
Yeah, but he buys it from, and then they buy it from, unless he has a stockpile. But I think he buys it from Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson's the one who ships everything. So if you buy it from it, it's probably going through Andrew Johnson. But like this website's all done by Andrew Johnson. To be fair,
I would probably agree that the one kind of criticism of Dr. Wood, but to be fair to her, she's not a promoter or someone who works in advertising or stuff like that, so I can't really hold it against her. And I'd imagine she's now at a point where she's unsure who she could trust or who she could let in to her kind of circle to help her out in promoting it to an extent. Because I think did she not go into one of the Gage's movements, but then thought, nah, wait a minute, I need to get out of this.
Yeah. So she's been through a lot. She was in the Scholars for 9/11 Truth, and then Fetzer was there with her, helping promote directed energy weapons. But then as she was writing the book, she started connecting the dots with the Hutchinson effect, and then he would not allow. He would not allow her to talk about that. So then that's when they kind of split off, and then now he starts attacking her and so on. Now he's full on nukes or whatever. But yeah, so she's dealt with a lot of these guys, and that's how she came across Andrew Johnson. Or Andrew Johnson came across her. Is that Andrew Johnson was actually doing a he was actually doing a like he helped do some of the editing for Stephen Jones and I think Richard Gage, but Stephen Jones. And then in the email, in one of the photos, I think Judy Wood sent an email citing that article that Andrew Johnson was collaborated with, and saying, hey, this photo is darkened or enhanced to make it look like it was explosives or whatnot. And then that's when Andrew Johnson realized, okay, that's when he started looking at Judy Wood's work. But yeah, they had a whole history on it. You could read those in Andrew Johnson's books. Have you had a chance to look at those 9/11 Finding the Truth and 9/11 Holding the Truth?
I think there's two or three that I've downloaded that were free on his website.
Yeah, but there's two specifically. The Finding the Truth is the one that details him and Judy Wood's their whole process of getting to 9/11, pretty much figuring it all out. And also dealing with all of the actors involved, all of the disinfo agents and so on, and then all the organizations that were doing to try to stifle her. And then the second one is Holding the Truth, and it's the continual cover-up. And he goes through a whole bunch of different 9/11 people, and it's I don't know where they create these 9/11 disinfo agents. It's the ChatGPT or something. They have advanced ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'd imagine there's a CIA warehouse somewhere where they've stocked them up and they're just ready to roll them out. But yeah, I mean, I could feel it when I was in that chat and Gage and stuff was there. It was nah, this feels a bit strange. It didn't feel right. And then I seen them join up together and try to bring your information down, which you handled it quite well. But when Norman just was nah, I'm not having it, and gets a wee bit, loses his cool a wee bit, but you were a bit more, you just kind of laughed it off, which was quite funny. But I seen them act, and I seen how they act, and I thought, yeah, I can see why people point to these as being a group of people who try and control a certain narrative. It was clear as day. I don't know much about the guy Gage, but it opened my eyes. And Gage seemed to be pulling the strings. And when Norman was talking, Gage spoke up and said, "Right, kick him off."
Yeah,
he was the master of the team, basically captain of the team.
And then Gene kicked him off right away, right after that.
Yeah, is that the guy who was talking about the physics course that he created?
Oh no, that's David Chandler. Chandler's the one with the big giant beard. He's the not seismologist.
Oh yeah,
the shaved head guy is the Richard Gage. Yeah, Richard Gage is one of the top guys. He was a founder of AE 9/11 Truth, and apparently they kicked him out because of his views on COVID. So he's posting about anti-COVID stuff, but again, from the mainstream, saying it's a bioweapon and all this. My view is it's more psychological than actual anything. I think germ theory is all out of whack. But yeah, so Richard Gage is very, very interesting. It was the second time I actually talked to him on a Zoom call. Have you seen my earlier one? Where
I think I did see a clip of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So with me, it's like my issue is I try like I have a tendency to laugh when something comes up that's just like when my BS detector tingles. I kind of laugh. So and they when you're dealing with them, I basically they try to get you off your footing because they're lying. They're just making stuff up on their head. They don't know if it's true or not. Like the one where they said, "Oh, he saw planes going like they were nosediving at 600 miles an hour," right? And then, but if you see my last live stream, if you actually look at the terminal velocity, it can't go that fast. When you drop something in the air, like a plane, its terminal velocity is actually like 400 miles an hour. Like you know what terminal velocity is, where so if you drop something, eventually the air friction is going to equal the amount of force, like gravity. So it just continues with downwards force. It continues with a downwards exact same speed. So the planes is like 400 miles an hour at terminal velocity. So it's not going to go. It's not going to keep going faster and faster and faster because of the air. And the other part is the other part is they just start making up any sort of excuse to try to downplay what I was saying. I was saying is impossible physics to impact physics, and then they bring up the ping pong ball one. So this is one I did a video here. I showed you this before the stream, but I want to show them as well. And basically, I want to show the audience as well about the ping pong ball. So in the live stream, David Chandler was saying that Boeing plane aluminum can go through steel because a ping pong ball can go through wood or something like that. This one I discussed a bit about it, but I have a scheduled post actually on my MES links right here. Oh, how do I go to a scheduled post? It's not showing scheduled post. I have to pop it out here. Oh, there it is. There's a scheduled post. So they started saying that a ping pong ball can go through steel. And first of all, ping pong ball at 1,100 miles an hour with zero air, they suck out all the air to vacuum. What it actually happens, it explodes on impact, and then it goes through. Then it passes on through. But the one thing, and I mentioned it, I said the material is harder, but I didn't clarify it further in the Boston Island Truth. I should have done it because I just wasn't thinking fast enough for their nonsense. So here is. If you guys can hear the audio, here's the Mythbusters, the ping pong ball at 1,100 miles an hour. Just want to show this.
Adam and Jamie are about to test the lethality of their supersonic balls. But before that, they want to shoot Jamie's lucky bat.
It has no idea what's in store for it. Totally knows what's in store for it. 3, 2, 1, go.
Holy Batman.
There's your problem.
That is a beautiful, beautiful object.
That is an 1,100 mile per hour ping pong ball, ladies and gentlemen.
But is it lethal?
Yeah, so there's that slow motion there.
Ping pong ball,
So there it is. It goes in. I'm going to make it even slower. I'll make this slower. And then I'll make it muted. Okay, I'll make it 0.07. I'll mute it, and let's play this. It goes in. It explodes on impact. Everything's shredded. Even some stuff's going bouncing backwards. And then it makes that shape there through the wood and goes through. But the point I wanted to drive home the point is, and then it gets shredded in there. But again, the impact, it explodes on impact. But the other thing is the ping pong plastic is much harder than the actual wood. So like the ping pong plastic is actually, if you look at it, it's actually 0.4 millimeters. So it's like absolutely tiny. And the wooden paddle board is about 5 to 7 millimeters. So it's literally like almost a centimeter. And then if you reverse it, if you instead you had a 7 millimeter just plastic board, here's a plastic that's about 7 millimeters, and then you had wood that was 0.4 millimeters. In other words, you had paper, literally paper ball. It will not do much damage to a 7 millimeter thick plastic paddle. This will Even if you throw it at 1,000 miles an hour, it's not gonna pass through it like that ping pong ball. So, and then also the impact dynamics. This part is the big one. I keep driving the point home here. Even if aluminum could go through steel, the impact would first of all, there's gonna be a giant explosion at the impact. Going back here, yeah. So look right here. So this is a jet aircraft through a concrete wall, and it only goes through. It only dents this concrete wall 2 inches, like 2.4 inches. And there's a real plane, wooden light poles. And here's bunker buster, and there is whatever this object is. Basically matches the physics of a bunker buster. It goes in completely. This goes in completely, and this one. Notice the explosion on here. The ping pong ball again would explode on impact. This is getting sliced off and then exploding on impact, and explodes afterwards. Again, delayed explosion is the biggest key. And another part is about I'll just stop sharing now. In the Boston 9/11 Truth one, every time I talked about delayed explosion, they seemed to get really put off by it. They did not want to say that. And I said, when I said that the impact was quiet, on impact it was quiet, and then a delayed explosion, the guy says, no, I heard a really loud bang. I'm like, is this guy making stuff up? So they really didn't like the delayed explosion part. And
yeah. Yep.
So
I got that impression as well.
Yeah.
I was thinking with Gage talking about the silent explosives and thinking about the seismic situation. Maybe they were super special explosives that didn't cause a seismic a seismic reading. Maybe they would say that.
Well, that's the thing. Is okay, let's say you have some sort of soundless explosives, right? The building still has to fall down. It still has to hit itself. It still has to, like, the steel's literally bumping on, unless you have some sort of anti-gravity slow motion falling on the ground, like softly, and then somehow you're stacking it up, but nobody can see it, and then you're shipping it all in China. So slowly going here, and then there's a delivery truck, like somehow delivering it to China in like seconds. So it gets to the point where it's like, yeah, when we're dealing with them, it's because I think they're either mind controlled or they got some sort of weird blackmail or something where they cannot
possibly
they cannot pivot because they fear they fear something super powerfully where they're willing to lie to.
Do you know what? I never thought about potentially being blackmailed. That's a good point.
Yeah,
because they don't want to give up on it. Maybe they are being held. Maybe Gage has done stuff that he shouldn't have, and they've got that on him. Yeah.
No, 100%. That's with all the internet tracking and everything. So they have access to everyone's sites, and this is where Pizzagate. That's when I realized that the whole world's pretty much blackmailed, and that's why, like, so you heard about the Speaker of the House, Dennis Hastert, for example. So you heard about that guy, Dennis Hastert?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was Speaker of the House. That's the third in line to be president. So if the president dies, the vice president becomes president. If the vice president dies, the Speaker of the House becomes president. So he was Speaker of the House, and he was a high school football coach. And then he had to go to jail for a couple of years. While he was Speaker of the House, some of the kids that he was coaching said that he assaulted them, like sexually assaulted them. And pretty much, and then the judge literally called him like a serial child raper. And I think he's like, yeah. And so a college football coach somehow, and he skyrocketed to become the Speaker of the House. So it's like, all right. So how did he skyrocket? Well, obviously he was a pedo that they were blackmailing. And then so you put in someone that you have ultimate control over. Yeah,
it's interesting because I've covered the whole Apollo moon landing, the astronauts, and I eventually came to the conclusion that they were probably blackmailed as well, in a similar fashion, where not only were they lying, but they had to lie. They were being kind of forced into it because they had something on them. That was the only conclusion I could draw, because the amount of stuff they kind of what looked willingly put themselves through was astonishing. I could only conclude that they had been blackmailed it wasn't just a case of, look, we're going to pay you money to lie about the moon and the whole program. It was, look, if you fucking don't do as you're told, we're going to expose you for the person that you are. So yeah, I think that is probably the case more than not, to be fair. So I think you're right there. You could be right about the whole Gage situation. Is there anything else that you want to share before we kind of bring it to a close, or I'll get killed by my wife?
Okay. Oh no, I'm pretty much good. I didn't. So I had a wedding party yesterday. I didn't want. So I didn't have time to get links or anything. So I'll just save that for next week when we all join in.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, so that'll be pretty epic. Yeah, if you get a bit more time, because it's gonna be a whole lot of people, different voices. and then September 11th on a Wednesday, we're looking to do a like summary, a same thing, group thing, but more of a summary. So next week's more of just a hangout, and then a summary on a summary of all 9/11 evidence. All right.
Excellent. Yeah, that'll be great. Well, we had quite a few people on X tonight, so good evening to the people on X. I think we're currently sitting at about 130 people over X and YouTube. But is there any kind of final thoughts that you've got, or?
Well, again, yeah, 9/11 is the big one. If you want to convince them about any conspiracy, everything eventually leads to 9/11. 9/11 is not only just like the I think most consequential, where pretty much the whole world just flipped upside down. It's similar to COVID, but it's the only one where it's not just like, let's say, telling people this XYZ happened, but it's like the ramifications of they possess technology that's way beyond anything public. And then it gets to the point where anyone that's not bringing this up, it's just limited hangout, either willingly or unwillingly. It doesn't matter if it's just a random your neighbor, but if it's, especially if it's a so-called truther, it's like a litmus test again. All things 9/11, because again, it's everything is revolves around it.
Yeah, it was interesting. Do you know the guy American Favors?
Yeah.
He's got a great YouTube channel where he does book reviews, and he's quite often mentioned Where Did the Towers Go? And he said something that I totally agree with. He said it's basically a filter where if people won't talk about it, then they're probably not worth listening to. So if they can't get past that, or they dismiss it, then well, they don't know probably what they're talking about, or they're trying to lead you in a certain direction. And he called it a filter, and I thought that was a good way to put it, to be honest. Do you think Judy Wood will maybe do a wee bit more in terms of work?
I'm not sure, but the thing is, she has gotten my message about joining a live stream. So she's pretty much trying to like just hide away with her chickens, apparently. But yeah, so
got the right idea.
But the thing is, she doesn't need to do much work. It's more about, she's already done the work. All she has to do is just show her face and just talk to us. Where just her being on any one of our streams one, I would just give the whole movement just a big boost. And so she has to pretty much use her celebrity in the alt media one. And also in a way, not even like debating or arguing or presenting evidence, just more about like laughing at all of the disinfo agents that try to stifle her, like Gage, Fetzer, and just a whole bunch of other clowns. So that's one thing. And then eventually, one thing I do want to try to convince her, if she ever gets on the stream, is make a digital PDF and article format of her book. And every time, and also like do any corrections as a new edition. So let's say, because there are some like spelling typos, but also a few minor factual errors. For example, like because she literally says that no car was moved to FDR Drive. At least one police car was moved it doesn't negate the fact that some of them were definitely. It seems like they were literally turned to like a melted, like literally kilometers away, but some were moved there. So that's one error that she needs to at least in a new edition. So it'd be like, all right, but she was really anti online books. So she wants full physical book. So
I can kind of understand that, but I think in the world we're in today, it would be probably a good idea, worthwhile. I had seen a photo of one of the cars, toasted cars, and it was completely toasted out, but the tires were still on it. Yeah. So the rubber tires were still there, and it was like, wait a minute, how the hell did that happen? That was pretty strange. That, but yeah, it's I think next week could be an interesting one. Do you know? Is there a time for it next week or?
Well, my usual 1 p.m. Yeah, 1 p.m. is my unless otherwise stated. It's 1 p.m.
Cool.
Saturday, cool. Yeah. And then American Fathers should be on too. American Fathers would be on the stream as well.
Oh, great. Yeah. He's a good guy. Talks a lot of sense. So I've got a lot of time for him. And Andrew Johnson. He's covered a lot of stuff in the past. It'll be interesting to see what he's got to say. If there's anything new to maybe add. And the work the guy Mark does is quite amazing. Have I disappeared again?
Oh, I can hear you.
Still there. Cool.
You were glitching a bit. You're glitching.
It's my Wi-Fi. Wonderful Wi-Fi in Bonnie, Scotland. So, but we got there. We got there in the end. So, I look forward to next week. Have you got any other streams planned in the future, or? So one of them planned was the Mark Conlon one is the 21st to 28th. We're gonna do a passengers deep dive, and then on near JFK anniversary, the JFK assassination anniversary, Alan Forrest, my friend, he's gonna be on it to discuss it. He was on the channel before talking about qigong and Orgone energy and so on. So he's an artist that does a lot of COVID drawing. Like anti-COVID drawings, mute site. Yeah, so he'll be on there, and then I'll be after 9/11. I was gonna email a bunch of people. I'm gonna email afterwards. I'm gonna try to get Stefan Lanka. Have you heard of Stefan Lanka? He's the anti-germ theory guy, and then also some other German new medicine people. Basically, anyone I find interesting, or some of the stuff that I want. Yeah, I've done a bit of digging on the germ theory and the germ versus terrain theory, and I had actually done a video on it in 2022, and it got a strike.
Oh wow! Oh yeah. So the germ versus terrain. Yeah. So I'm I think terrain is also is good, but I think I lean a bit towards the German new medicine, but I do think terrain has a lot of it fills in a lot of the parts where German new medicine doesn't. But if you ever heard German new medicine, it's more about the psychological causal link of pretty much like cancer and disease and so on. So like cancer is like a biological emergency program where your body's trying to develop more cells to help you survive in whatever moment it is. Because your body basically thinks it doesn't know the difference between, let's say, a financial fight or flight versus an actual lion about to attack you. So your body reacts in the same way where you're getting chased by a lion, but versus just some sort of natural something happening to your family member or whatnot. So it's that's the one where it's a big rabbit hole. I posted Richard Hall's video on my channel on German new medicine, which is quite
it's a really interesting one, and I think there is a massive psychological aspect to it that Big Pharma tries to avoid. No, you don't want to know about that. But because my son, my youngest son, he was diagnosed with cancer at 2-year-old, so he went through a bit of a time with that, and one of the main doctors, the surgeons that he had said to me, look, a lot of it is psychological in terms of fighting against it and getting better, and with my son being so young, he wouldn't have been worrying and thinking, I've got cancer, and like an older person might think. So it was quite eye-opening for me, But he's still here today, and he's a cheeky little devil, to be honest. So.
All right, that's good. That's good.
But yeah, it's been great. I've got some of your links in the description, and I always enjoy your streams that you do. So keep up the good work. What I'll do is I'll just end the stream. So thanks to everyone for jumping in, and then we'll get a wee catch up in the green room if you want to hang about for a minute or two. So cheers to everyone for jumping in tonight. It's been great. We went a wee bit over the 2-hour mark, but it usually happens, to be honest. All good in the hood, and I look forward when the stream is up for next week. I'll get it shared, and people can check it out. It should be pretty epic, to be honest. So look out for it. So thanks again, Matthew. It's been a pleasure. I'll end the stream, and we'll get a catch up in the back. So take care, folks, and yeah, don't do anything I wouldn't do, right?
Have a good one, guys. All right, I'll stop recording now.